All right, so it's the middle of winter, and we thought this would be a good time to catch up on all the baseball hot stove, as we are huge baseball fans. And Josh, what are your opinions so far on the winter dealings?
Well, first, I'll talk about the Yankees, because you know how I feel about the Yankees. Signed Derek Jeter, huge deal. This guy, one of the most overrated players in baseball, if not the most overrated player in baseball. I mean, he didn't have many errors last year, but he has no range at shortstop. I think the Red Sox made a huge improvement. I mean, they overpaid for Crawford, but getting Adrian Gonzalez, adding more players to their bullpen, they're looking good for next year. And if I'm a Yankee fan, I'd be a little afraid. And same with the Rays. I mean, they're kind of dumping their players there.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm a little calmer from the Yankee perspective because, when the Rays lose Carl Crawford, I know he goes, across the division to the Red Sox, but they lost the face of their franchise for the last 7 years. I think losing Crawford, they also lost Carlos Pena. I think that's going to be a huge blow, and they're also talking about dealing away Matt Garza. I know the Ray farm system is loaded beyond belief, but I think losing those type of proven quality players is going to be a huge blow to their team, and I don't see any reason the Yankees still can't win the wild card, if not the division.
Who's going to pitch for the Yankees, though? I mean, after CC, who you got?
Well, A.J. Burnett is due for a bounce-back year. Hopefully he stays healthy because he is,
I will admit, this guy hasn't had a good year when it wasn't a contract year.
He pitched well a couple years ago for the Yankees in his first year, but he's off and on. You don't know what you're going to get, but I think he's going to have a bounce-back year. Unfortunately, Brandon Webb signed with the Rangers for 1 year, $3 million. This would be a guy that I would have loved the Yankees to go out and sign because I know you're going to tell me. I know you're going to tell me, he's pitched one game in the last 2 years. We're talking about a guy before that, from like 03 to 08, he started 33 games every season. So he had durability
this guy had shoulder surgery. He's getting $7 million in incentives plus his $3 million contract from. You really want to add this money onto the Yankees for a guy who probably will pitch one game this season before getting hurt after he finds out he has an 82-mile-an-hour fastball with that shoulder?
To be honest, it's $3 million, and to the Yankees at this point, it's not about the money. Can we just say that? We just gave $51 million. It's not about the money. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the money anymore. We already pay our season ticket prices, which are loaded upon belief. They're so outrageously high at the new Yankee Stadium, but we already pay them, so we might as well just keep paying players. It's not a big deal at this point.
Why not sign Jeff Francis?
That's another thing that's okay. But Brandon Webb, you're talking about a guy who a couple years ago was 22-8. He never has had an ERA in his life over 4. I know that's the National League West, but that's a guy who, provided I know he's not healthy and he's only throwing 80 miles an hour right now, but if he gets healthy, this guy who's dominant. He won a Cy Young for a reason. This is not a bad pitcher.
Big if. If Oliver Perez just decides to be normal again and go back to 06, the Mets are a totally different team too. There's no what ifs in baseball.
Yeah, but $3 million, that's an investment. If you're the Rangers, that's a fantastic investment. If he flops, $3 million, that's nothing. In today's MLB baseball, for the Yankees specifically, and you can also talk about the Mets or the Red Sox, $3 million is nothing. It's nothing. That's an investment.
I just feel there's better options out there that any team can make right now, specifically Jeff Francis.
Well, Jeff Francis is another guy who has been hurt in the past, though.
But still, he's been putting up consistent numbers for the last few years. He's not going to win you 20 games. Certainly not. He's not going to put up a 3 ERA, but he'll win 10, 12 games for you, and he'll pitch solid innings and be a solid 4 or 5 starter for you.
Well, I would have much rather gone with Brandon Webb. Andy Pettitte right now for the Yankees. You don't know if he's coming back, if he's going to pitch or he's not going to pitch. He's hinting at retirement. I think he just wants as much money as possible. I think at the end of the day he's going to come back, and if he doesn't, that's going to be a huge problem for the Yankees because I don't see Jeff Francis as the answer for the Yankees. I think he's much more likely to sign with maybe the Mets. But who knows at this point. I think that the Yankees are looking more at their minor league system, which is really scary. We're talking about the 4 and 5 is Ivan Nova and Sergio Mitre. I'm hoping Andrew Brackman at the Yankee farm system is going to come up at some point. This is a former NC State player, tall, lanky. He's right-handed. He's like a right-handed version of Randy Johnson. I know that's a little extreme to put on somebody,
seriously.
But he's got that body type, and I see a lot of potential in him. And, he's got to get to AAA first, but this is a guy at the end of the season I'm hoping might break through the Yankee system. But as for your Mets, I think it's nothing but a rebuilding season for them.
Of course. They got over $100 million locked up in Beltran, Perez, Castillo. This team, after this year, they have a shot at maybe making some investments. bringing up some farm players, making some big name trades. I'd really like to see him trade for Garza, but I don't think that's going to happen yet. Jeff Francis would be a good signing for him. But the real problem is, if Beltran keeps getting hurt every year, we've got Luis Castillo locked up for second base. Who's going to pitch for us? I mean, certainly don't want Ali up there. He's something else. That's awful. But, I mean, it really comes down to all the money locked up for next year and players who aren't producing.
Well, you also got Mike Pelfrey. I know Big Pelf stepped up for the Mets last year, but he's got some sort of mental problem with he's always licking himself and getting called for balks.
There's no one. They have good pitchers in that rotation, but there's no one you can really rely on day in and day out and say, I know this guy's going to come out with a win, besides Johan, who's out for who knows how long. Could be the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's what they're saying is that, we're not doctors, but it looks like that Johan Santana is going to be out until at least middle of June, if not the All-Star break.
I see this guy coming back a little earlier. I know he's hurt and this is serious surgery and stuff, but he's a gamer. He's the hardest worker on that team, and if there's anyone who's going to work their butts to come back early, it's going to be Johan Santana.
But at the end of the day, you've got the Phillies in the division. The Phillies, after getting Cliff Lee, are absolutely loaded.
The Phillies are beatable. I'm sorry. Their lineup is not as good as it used to be. Jimmy Rollins is getting old. Ryan Howard he's a little overrated.
I know the lineup's that good, but where are you going to get runs off of? Roy Halladay,
they're all beatable.
Roy Halladay is a fantastic pitcher. He's in a league of his own.
I'm not disagreeing, but they are all beatable.
Cliff Lee, returning to the National League, and Cole Hamels. Cole Hamels, he's up and down. You've seen Cole Hamels' potential. Yes, the last 2 years he hasn't really lived up to it, but you also got Roy Oswalt. That's the best four in baseball. I don't think you can argue that's the best four.
No, I can't argue that's the best four in baseball, but like I said, it's injuries that have been haunting the Mets, and it's just mental stuff too. With Jose Reyes and David Wright, if these players play like they did in 2006, and they're still young, they're under 30 years old. If they play like they used to, there's no reason they can't. They can be one of the best teams in baseball.
So right now, I want you to give me a player on the Mets, or for the Mets, that's a free agent or a trade that you want to see them go get, and you think that's going to help them. Because I'm not going to say the Mets are going to win the division. You can't say that way with the Phillies. But if you want to make a wild card push, who's the one guy you think the Mets have to go after?
Well, we need a big name pitcher, and if we're going to make a trade for someone, it has to be Matt Garza. This guy's young. He's throwing perfect games for the Rays, no hitters for the Rays. He is just a great pitcher, and he brings a fiery attitude to the Mets that they really need right now, because no one on that team is stepping up as a leader, and no one has stepped up as a leader for a long time.
Right. The reason, I do agree to that to a certain extent, but the thing with Matt Garza, there's got to be a reason the Rays want to trade him, because he is on the trading block for a reason. And I don't know if it's something mental with him, if maybe they don't see something right physically.
I think they just want to get something for him, because the Rays are, as you know, a small market team, and they're going to try to trade these players who are reaching their peak before, and get something for him before they want, $20-30 million out of him.
So they got nothing for Carl Crawford outside of, the rule draft picks that they get for when Carl Crawford walks.
Those kind of teams do. The Rays, the Marlins, they don't have
The Twins have been unbelievable at that the last couple of years. If I were the Mets right now, I have to agree, you have to go get a pitcher. I don't know if Matt Garza is necessarily that answer for you. But I don't know where I'd look. Greinke already got dealt to the Brewers, so it's not going to be Greinke.
I'm not a huge Greinke fan. I think he's a little overrated. I wouldn't want to see the Mets go out and trade, Ike Davis or John Neese for Greinke. It's just I don't want to see that happening, either way. As far as a free agent pick, like I said earlier, Jeff Francis could be a good, 4th, 5th starter for the Mets. Put up some innings like Livan Hernandez did in the past.
All right, so you're just looking for an innings eater, and that's fair.
Yeah.
From the Yankee perspective, there is only one guy left out there that I'm really looking at as to be honest, from between now and July 31st, I don't see there's any other way. I think the only way the Yankees can make a World Series run is with King Felix Hernandez. I honestly think the Yankees are going to make a deal for him, because when you look at it, the Yankees have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. They have 5 catchers right now in their system between Posada. They just signed Russell Martin. They've also got Austin Romine. They've got Cervelli, and they've got the other kid in the AAA farm system. They got 5 catchers on the books, and they're gonna deal one of them, especially one of the 2 prospects.
But the Mariners, they've been saying for years, King Felix, that's the face of their franchise. I know they're not a winning team, and they're probably not going to be a winning team for a while, but I just don't see the Mariners trading Felix Hernandez unless they get an absolute amazing offer.
I agree, and that's the thing. You just had an amazing offer. Nobody makes offers like the Yankees. You see all the time. They always give up a ton of prospects. They'll give up money. They'll do whatever they have to do. And when it comes to sports, everybody's got their price. Everybody, and that's why I think that at some point the Yankees are going to make a ridiculous offer to the Mariners, whether that might be Brackman and Austin Romine. I think they're going to make, at some point between now and July 31st, they're going to make a big deal for Felix Hernandez. And they're going to have to, because that Boston Red Sox lineup right now is scary. And we don't want to be totally biased to talk about the Red Sox for a second. They have made outstanding moves this season.
They really have. They've upgraded a lot of their offensive units and their bullpen, and their pitching staff is already great.
And you're talking about putting Carl Crawford in left. If you get a healthy year out of Jacoby Ellsbury in center, I mean, that's an amazingly fast outfield. Amazingly fast. Yeah. You know, Dustin Pedroia, he's good. I don't like admitting it, but Dustin Pedroia is a good player. Works hard, plays hard. And it's a type of player anybody would want on their team. That's a loaded team. They also brought in more bullpen pieces, which it's kind of interesting. I didn't know how much money John Henry was going to spend after buying a Liverpool Football Club in England, but he's done the opposite. I thought they were not going to spend much money. He's done the opposite, and he's been spending a ton. And getting Adrian Gonzalez, Trey Foreman, giving him that 8-year extension.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Gonzalez, it's well worth it. 8 years is a long time. I know Teixeira is getting deals like that for long-term deals, but I mean, it's a long time to have a first baseman, especially because Adrian Gonzalez is a bigger guy, but he's just been producing year in and year out under the radar for the Padres.
Well, the first base is a weird position. I don't personally like giving long contracts at all. Anything that's over, 6 and up is really long in my opinion. It's too long. But I think Mark Teixeira was well worth it. I mean, we'll see what Pujols gets once he gets his new contract, because I'm sure he's going to get some ridiculous 8-9-year contract, something ridiculous. Adrian Gonzalez, I know he's a bigger guy. I mean, we've seen big contracts like this not pan out in the past, most notably with the Yankees, Jason Giambi. I mean, he had some good years, and he had some years he didn't exist, whether that was, steroid rehabilitation, plantar fasciitis, whatever it was with Giambi for years and years. Yeah, there was a lot of down years, and that contract in the end wasn't worth it, but I think the Teixeira contract at the end of the day is going to be worth it, and I think the Gonzalez contract is going to be worth it at the end of the day. So that's it for Baseball Hot Stove on Off and Running. Tune into a guest soon.
We're off and running.